Captain Jake Morrison stood at the window of his ship and watched the stars. He had been in space for 20 years, but the view still amazed him. Today was different, though. Today he was going to meet aliens who might want to fight with humans. The ship Terra Nova was small but fast. It carried only 5 people. Jake was the leader. Dr. Paul Stevens knew about alien life. Lieutenant Amy Burke handled all the talking between ships. Sergeant Rick Johnson kept everyone safe. And there was also Engineer Tom Wilson, who made sure the ship worked properly. Jake looked at the message on his screen again. The Zephyrian Empire wanted to meet with Earth. They had been taking land that belonged to humans in the Kepler 442 system. 3 human colonies lived there. The Zephyrians said the land was theirs now. "Captain, we will reach their space in 2 hours," Amy said from her seat at the communication station. "Good, Paul. Tell me again about these Zephyrians," Jake said. Dr. Stevens turned around in his chair. He was a thin man with kind eyes. "They are strong and tall, about 7 feet high. They have gray skin and 4 arms. But the important thing is how they think. They believe that being strong is the most important thing. They think pain makes people better." "That sounds bad," Rick said. The sergeant was checking his weapons even though they were going to talk, not fight. "It is their way," Paul said. "They have wars on their own planets all the time. They think it makes them stronger. When they meet other species, they test them. If the other species is weak, the Zephyrians take what they want." Jake nodded. He had read all the reports. The Zephyrians controlled 12 worlds. They had a big army and many ships. Other alien species were afraid of them. Even the Galactic Council tried not to make them angry. "Why do they want to meet with us?" Amy asked. "Because we are new," Jake said. "Humans have only been in the Galactic Council for 37 years. They want to see if we are strong or weak." The ship's computer made a soft sound. "Incoming." "Message from Earth?" It said. Jake pressed a button. President Helen Davis appeared on the screen. She was a smart woman who always tried to solve problems without fighting. "Captain Morrison, I want to remind you that this mission is very important. We cannot let the Zephyrians take our colonies, but we also cannot start a war. Find a way to make peace." "I understand, Madam President," Jake said. "The whole galaxy is watching. If we handle this well, other species will respect us. If we fail, they will think humans are weak. Good luck." The screen went black. Jake felt the weight of his job. Millions of people were counting on him. "Captain, we are getting a signal from the Zephyrians," Amy said. "Put it on screen." The alien that appeared was huge. His gray skin looked like metal. His forearms were thick with muscles. His eyes were red and angry. When he spoke, his voice was deep and scary. "I am War Commander Vexthal of the Zephyrian Empire. You will follow my ships to our meeting place. Do not try any tricks. We are watching you. This is Captain Morrison of Earth. We come in peace." To talk, Vexthal made a sound that might have been laughing. "Peace is for the weak. We will see what humans are made of." 2 big Zephyrian ships appeared on both sides of the Terra Nova. They were dark and covered with weapons. Jake felt small next to them. "Tom, keep our engines ready," Jake said quietly. "Yes, sir," the engineer replied. They followed the Zephyrian ships to a space station. It was huge and black. Sharp metal spikes stuck out from all sides. It looked like a weapon itself. "Welcome to Pain Station," Vexthal said. "Here we will test your strength." Jake did not like the name, but he had to continue. The Terra Nova docked with the station. Jake and his team put on their dress uniforms. Rick wanted to bring weapons, but Jake said no. "We are here to talk, not fight," Jake told him. The inside of the station was dark and cold. The walls were made of black metal. Red lights made everything look like blood. Zephyrian soldiers stood everywhere. They all carried big guns and watched the humans with hungry eyes. Vexthal met them at the airlock. Up close, he was even more frightening. Scars covered his face and arms. His 4 hands had claws instead of fingers. "So small," he said, looking at Jake. "So weak. Are all humans like this?" "We may be smaller, but we are not weak," Jake said. "We will see. Follow me." They walked through long hallways. The walls were covered with pictures of battles. Zephyrian soldiers fighting and killing. At the end of each hall was a room full of weapons. "This is how we solve problems," Vextel said, pointing at the weapons. "Pain teaches truth. Blood shows strength," Paul whispered to Jake. "This is worse than I thought. They live for war." They reached a big room with a round table. More Zephyrians waited there. All were covered in scars. All looked at the humans. "Like they were food?" "Sit," Vextel commanded. Jake sat down. The chair was too big for him. He felt like a child at an adult table. "You want to talk about the Kepler 442 system," Vextel said. "We have decided it belongs to us now. Your people can leave or die. That system has 3 human colonies." Jake said, 40,000 people live there? "They have been there for 15 years. "Then they should have been stronger," another Zephyrian said. "The weak do not deserve to live." Jake felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept calm. "We can share the system. It is big enough for both of us." "Share?" Vextel laughed. "Only the weak share, the strong take what they want." "There must be a way to solve this without fighting," Jake said. "There is," Vextel said. "You prove your strength. Fight our champion. If you win, we will talk about sharing. If you lose, your people leave." Jake looked at his team. Rick was ready to fight, but Jake knew it was a trap. The Zephyrians were much stronger than humans. "What if I refuse?" Jake asked. "Then you are weak, and we will take your colonies by force." Jake thought quickly. He needed more time. "I must talk to my government first." "You have 1 day," Vextel said. "Then you choose. Fight or run." That night, Jake and his team stayed in rooms on the station. The beds were hard and the rooms were cold. Jake could not sleep. He sent a message to Earth, but it would take hours to reach there. "Captain," Amy said through the communication system, "I'm picking up strange signals. The Zephyrians are moving their ships." Jake went to the window. In the distance, he could see Zephyrian warships gathering. There were more than 50 of them. "They're getting ready for war," Rick said. "Maybe," Jake said. "Or maybe they are trying to scare us." The next morning, Vextel came to see Jake. "Have you decided?" "I need more time to think," Jake said. "Time is for the weak. Choose now." Jake looked at the war commander. Behind him stood 20 Zephyrian soldiers. All had weapons ready. "I will fight your champion," Jake said. Vextel smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Good, you will die with honor." They went to a big room with a metal floor. Hundreds of Zephyrians watched from above. The champion was waiting. He was even bigger than Vextel. His forearms were like tree trunks. "This is Greater," Vextel sighed. "He has killed 50 enemies in single combat." Jake stepped into the fighting area. He had no weapons. The champion had claws and fangs. "Begin," Vextel said. Greater charged at Jake like a wild animal. Jake rolled to the side and the champion crashed into the wall. The Zephyrians cheered. Jake knew he could not win with strength. He had to be smart. When Greater charged again, Jake grabbed a piece of broken metal from the floor. He threw it at the champion's eyes. Greater screamed and covered his face. Jake ran between his legs and jumped on his back. He put his arms around the champion's neck and squeezed, but Greater was too strong. He grabbed Jake with his back arms and threw him across the room. Jake hit the wall hard. Blood ran down his face. "Enough," Vextel said. "You have shown courage, but you are still weak. Your people have 3 days to leave the Kepler 442 system." Jake stood up slowly. His whole body hurt. "This is not over." "Yes, it is," Vextel said. "Take your ship and go. Tell your people that the Zephyrians are coming." Jake and his team returned to the Terra Nova as they prepared to leave. Jake sent one last message to Earth. "We are making progress, but their concept of negotiation is different. If we do not return on schedule, do not send another diplomatic mission." The Terra Nova left the station and headed for home. Jake did not know that Vextel was already planning something terrible. The war commander had decided that humans needed to learn a lesson about strength. He ordered his soldiers to follow the Terra Nova, not to attack it, but to capture it. He wanted to show all the galaxy what happened to species that were too weak to fight. Jake Morrison would never see Earth again. Admiral Lisa Grant sat in her office at Earth Defense Command. She looked at the clock on her wall. The Terra Nova was 3 days late. Captain Jake Morrison always returned on time. Always. She pressed a button on her desk. Get me President Davis? The president's face appeared on the screen. She looked worried. Any word from Jake? No, ma'am. They should have been back 3 days ago. I want to send search ships. Do it. But be careful. We don't want to start a war. Lisa nodded. She had known Jake for 15 years. They had served together in the Mars Defense Force. He was her best friend and the best diplomat Earth had. If something happened to him, she would never forgive herself. Colonel Parker, report to my office, she said into her communication device. Colonel. Steve Parker was a big man with gray hair. He had fought in 3 wars and never lost a battle. He walked into Lisa's office with a serious face. We're going to find Jake, Lisa said. Take 2 ships. Be ready for anything. Yes, ma'am. Do you think the Zephyrians did something? I hope not, but if they did, we need to know. 2 hours later, Colonel Parker's ships left Earth. They headed for the last known position of the Terra Nova. Lisa waited and worried. She could not eat or sleep. Something was very wrong. The next morning, Parker's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, we found them. Lisa felt relief wash over her. Thank God. Are they okay? There was a long pause. No, ma'am. You need to come here right away. Lisa's heart sank. She took her fastest ship and flew to meet Colonel Parker. When she arrived, she saw the Terra Nova floating in space. It looked normal from the outside, but no one was answering their calls. Have you been inside? Lisa asked. No, ma'am. We were waiting for you. Lisa put on her spacesuit and floated over to the Terra Nova. The airlock was open. That was strange. Jake would never leave it open. She went inside with Colonel Parker and 2 soldiers. The ship was dark and quiet. Emergency lights made everything look red. Jake? Lisa called out. Jake, are you here? No answer. They walked through the ship. Slowly, everything looked normal until they reached the main conference room. Lisa stopped breathing. She had seen war and death, but nothing like this. The bodies of Jake and his team were scattered around the room. But they were not just dead. They had been cut into pieces. Dear God, Colonel Parker whispered. Jake's head was placed on the captain's chair. His arms were on the table. His legs were by the door. The same thing had been done to all 5 men. Lisa felt sick. She ran to the bathroom and threw up. When she came back, Colonel Parker was examining the bodies. This was done slowly, he said. They were tortured first. Lisa saw something strange. Where Jake's eyes should have been, there were 2 red stones. What are those? Zephyrian honor stones, one of the soldiers said. They put them in the eyes of enemies they think are weak. Lisa felt anger building inside her. These were not just deaths. This was a message. The Zephyrians were telling Earth that humans were weak and worthless. Sir, there's something else, the soldier said. He held up a small crystal. This was left on the captain's chair. Lisa took the crystal. It was a Zephyrian message device. When she pressed it, a hologram of War Commander Vexthal appeared. Humans of Earth, the hologram said. This is what happens to the weak. Your envoy came to us begging for peace. We gave him the only peace the weak deserve. Death. If you send more diplomats, we will send them back the same way. The Kepler 442 system belongs to the Zephyrian Empire now. Your people have 10 days to leave, or we will do to them what we did. To your envoy, the hologram disappeared. Lisa stared at the crystal in her hand. She wanted to crush it, but she needed to show it to the president. Get the bodies ready for transport, she told Colonel Parker. We're going home. The trip back to Earth was the longest of Lisa's life. She kept thinking about Jake. He had believed in peace. He had thought that all problems could be solved by talking. The Zephyrians had taught him how wrong he was. When they reached Earth, President Davis was waiting at the space dock. She looked at Lisa's face and knew the news was bad. How bad? The president asked. The worst, Lisa said. They tortured them for days before killing them. Then they cut them into pieces and left them as a warning. President Davis closed her eyes. Show. Lisa led her to the medical bay where Dr. Karen White was examining the bodies. Dr. White was Lisa's friend and the best doctor in the Defense Force. She had seen many terrible things, but she was crying. They were alive for at least 3 days. Dr. White said, "The Zephyrians used their claws to cut them slowly. They wanted them to suffer." President Davis looked at Jake's body. He had been a good man who wanted to help people. Now he was dead because he had tried to make peace. What did they want? The president asked. Lisa showed her the message crystal. They watched Vexthal's message together. When it ended, the president was quiet for a long time. "Call an emergency meeting," she finally said. "I want all the military commanders and the cabinet." 2 hours later, the most powerful people on Earth sat around a big table. President Davis told them what had happened. When she finished, everyone was quiet. "We have to do something," Colonel Parker said. "We can't let them get away with this." "What can we do?" asked Secretary of Defense Robert Clark. "They have 12 worlds and a huge army. We have never fought a real war in space." "Maybe we should ask the Galactic Council for help," suggested Foreign Secretary Linda Moore. "The Council is useless," Lisa said. "They are all afraid of the Zephyrians. They will talk and talk but do nothing. We need to think about this carefully." President Davis said, "If we make the wrong choice, Earth could be destroyed." "They already made their choice," Colonel Parker said. "They declared war on us when they killed our people." "This is different from other wars," General Mike Chun said. He was the smartest military man on Earth. "The Zephyrians are not just our enemies. They are enemies of peace itself. If we don't stop them, they will do this to other species." "But how?" Secretary Clark asked. "We don't have enough ships to fight them." "We can build ships," General Chun said. "We have the best factories in the galaxy. We can make weapons they have never seen." "That will take years," Foreign Secretary Moore said. "The colonists in Kepler 442 need help now." "The colonists will have to evacuate," President Davis said. "We can't protect them yet." Lisa felt anger burning in her chest. "So we just let the Zephyrians win? We let them think humans are weak?" "For now, yes," the president said. "But this is not over. Jake Morrison was my friend too. I will not let his death be meaningless." The next day, Earth sent a message to the Kepler 442 colonies. The 40,000 people living there had 10 days to pack their lives and leave. Many had been born there. It was the only home they knew. The ships that picked up the colonists were crowded and sad. Children cried. Adults were angry. They all asked the same question: why won't Earth protect us? The answer came from President Davis in a speech to the whole planet. She stood at the podium in the World Congress building. Her face was hard and determined. "My fellow humans," she said. 3 weeks ago, we sent Captain Jake Morrison and his team to make peace with the Zephyrian Empire. They returned to us in pieces. The Zephyrians tortured our people for days before killing them. They left their bodies as a warning that humans are weak." She paused. The whole world was listening. "We have evacuated our colonies from the Kepler 442 system. Some people say this makes us look weak. They are wrong. This makes us look smart. We are not running away. We're getting ready." She held up the message crystal from Vextal. "The Zephyrians think they know what humans are. They think we are soft and weak because we try to solve problems with words instead of weapons. They are about to learn how wrong they are." President Davis's voice grew stronger. "We will not send more diplomats to the Zephyrians. We will not beg the Galactic Council for help. We will not cry or complain. We will do what humans do best. We will solve this problem ourselves." She looked directly into the camera. "To the Zephyrians watching this message, you wanted to test human strength. You wanted to see what we are made of. You will get your answer. We gave you our hand in friendship. You returned it to us in pieces. We will not make the same mistake twice." The speech ended, but the message was clear. Earth was going to war. Not the quick, angry war that the Zephyrians expected, but something much worse. A war planned by the smartest minds on Earth. A war that would show the galaxy what happened when humans decided to stop being nice. Admiral Lisa Grant watched the speech from her office. She looked at a picture of Jake Morrison on her desk. He was smiling in the picture, the way he always smiled when he thought he could help people. "Don't worry, old friend," she whispered. "We're going to make them pay for what they did to you." Outside her window, she could see the factories of Earth beginning to change. Instead of making ships for trade and exploration, they would now make ships for war. The Zephyrians had no idea what was coming for them, but they would learn soon. 6 months had passed since Jake Morrison's death. The world looked the same, but everything had changed. In factories across Earth, workers built ships and weapons day and night. They all knew what they were building them for. General Mike Chun stood in the secret command center deep under the Rocky Mountains. Around him, hundreds of people worked at computers and screens. They were planning something that had never been done before. They were planning to destroy an entire empire. "Show me the latest reports," General Chun said to his assistant, Captain Tony Rodriguez. Tony was young but very smart. He had spent the last 6 months learning everything about the Zephyrians. He knew their planets, their ships, their weapons, and their weaknesses. "We now have complete maps of all 12 Zephyrian worlds," Tony said. "Our spy ships have been watching them for months. They still think we are weak and afraid." General Chin smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Good, what? About our new weapons?" "Dr. Susan Lee says they will be ready in 2 weeks. The tests have been perfect." Dr. Lee was the smartest person on Earth. She had invented new weapons that could destroy Zephyrian ships from very far away. But the best weapon was something the Zephyrians would never expect. "The electromagnetic pulse bombs are ready," Tony continued. "When we use them, all Zephyrian technology will stop working. Their ships, their weapons, their communication systems. Everything will be dead. And the frequency weapons? Those are the best part. Dr. Lee found that Zephyrian brains work differently than human brains. We can use sound waves to make them. Confused and sick, they will not be able to fight back." General Chen walked to a big map that showed all 12 Zephyrian worlds. Red dots marked their military bases. Blue dots showed their factories. Green dots were their cities. "We will hit them all at the same time," he said. 12 worlds, 12 battles, all happening at exactly the same moment. "The fleets are almost ready," Tony said. "Admiral Grant has been training the crews. They know their jobs." Admiral Lisa Grant had not slept well in 6 months. Every night she dreamed about Jake Morrison. Every morning she woke up angry. She used that anger to make the best fighting force in human history. She stood on the bridge of her new ship, the Retribution. It was the biggest warship ever built. It had weapons that could destroy a city in seconds. But it also had something more important. It had a crew that wanted to make the Zephyrians pay for what they had done. "Captain Murphy report," Lisa said to her second-in-command. Commander Kate Murphy was a small woman with fierce eyes. She had lost her brother in the colonial evacuation like everyone else. She wanted revenge. "All 12 battle fleets are ready, Admiral. We have positioned them near each Zephyrian world. They are hidden behind asteroids and moons. The Zephyrians cannot see them." "How many ships total?" 2,416 warships, the largest fleet in human history. Lisa nodded. Each Zephyrian world would face a fleet of about 200 ships. The entire Zephyrian Navy had only 300 ships total. They would be outnumbered 8-1. What about ground forces? Captain Harper has trained 50,000 soldiers. They know how to fight in the cities and buildings on each world. Captain Ben Harper was the best soldier on Earth. He had studied every building and street on the Zephyrian worlds. His men knew exactly where to go and what to do. "The most important target is War Commander Vexthal," Lisa said. "I want him alive. Captain Harper understands. His team will capture Vexthal personally." Lisa looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Vexthel was probably laughing about the weak humans. He had no idea that death was coming for him. On the other side of the galaxy, Vexthel sat in his palace on Zephyr Prime. He was eating dinner and watching reports from his spy ships. The reports said that Earth was building some new ships, but nothing to worry about. The humans are still weak, he told his officers. They ran away from Kepler 442 like frightened children. They will never fight us. What if they try to attack? U.S.? Asked Sub-Commander Kralthik. Vexthel laughed. With what? They have maybe 50 warships. We have 300. One Zephyrian ship can destroy 10 human ships. Should we attack Earth first? No, let them build their little ships. Let them think they can fight us. When they come, we will destroy them all. Then we will take their planet and make them our slaves. Vexthel did not know that human spy ships were listening to every word he said. He did not know that Captain Rodriguez had people on every Zephyrian world. He did not know that humans had been planning his death for 6 months. Back on Earth, Dr. Susan Lee worked in her laboratory. She had not left the building in 2 months. She ate and slept at her desk. She was creating weapons that would make Zephyrians sorry they had ever heard of humans. Her assistant, Dr. Bobby Chun, brought her a cup of coffee. The frequency weapons are ready for final testing, he said. Good, what about the neural disruptors? Those are ready too. When we use them, every Zephyrian on their planets will have terrible headaches. They will not be able to think clearly or fight effectively. Dr. Lee smiled. She had always been a peaceful person. She had spent her life trying to help people. But when she saw what the Zephyrians had done to Jake Morrison, something changed inside her. Now she wanted to hurt them as much as they had hurt her friends. The best part is that these weapons only work on Zephyrian brains, she said. Human soldiers will be fine. We can fight while they suffer. How long will the effects last? Hours. Maybe days, long enough for our soldiers to win every battle. President Davis visited the command center that night. She looked tired but determined. The weight of leading Earth to war was heavy on her shoulders. How much longer? She asked General Chun. 2 weeks, maybe less. We are almost ready. And you think we can win? I know we can win. The question is how completely we want to destroy them. President Davis thought about this. I want them beaten so badly that they never threaten anyone again. But I don't want to become monsters like them. Don't worry, Madam President. We will do this the right way. We will show them that humans are strong, but we are not cruel. What about the other alien species? What will they think when they see what we can do? They will respect us. Right now, they think humans are weak because we try to solve problems with words. After this war, they will know that we only use words because we choose to. When we choose to use weapons, we are very good at it. In space, the human fleets moved closer to their targets. The crews were ready. The weapons were loaded. The soldiers knew their jobs. Everything was prepared. Captain Harper sat with his men on the troop ship, heading for Zephyr Prime. They were all volunteers. They all wanted to be part of the mission to capture Vexthel. Remember, Harper told them, we are not there to destroy everything. We are there to show them that humans are strong. We capture the leaders. We take the military bases. We protect the civilians. We do this better than any army in history. His men nodded. They had trained for this moment for 6 months. They knew every street, every building, every possible hiding place on Zephyr Prime. What about Vexthel? Asked Sergeant Danny Brown. He is mine, Harper said. I want to look him in the eyes when I arrest him. I want him to know that the weak humans he laughed at are now his masters. As the fleets moved into position, Admiral Grant sent a message to all ship captains. In 24 hours, we will attack. This is for Jake Morrison. This is for our evacuated colonists. This is for every human who has ever been called weak. Tomorrow we show the galaxy what humans are really made of. The message was sent to Earth as well. President Davis read it in her office. She looked at a picture of Jake Morrison on her desk. He was smiling, the way he always smiled when he thought he could help people. We tried to do this your way, Jake, she said to the picture. We tried to make peace. Now we have to do it the hard way. She pressed a button on her desk. Get me the Galactic Council. It's time to tell them what's going to happen. The next morning, representatives from 50 alien species listened as President Davis explained that Earth was going to war with the Zephyrian Empire. Many of them were shocked. Some tried to talk her out of it. The Zephyrians are too strong, said the ambassador from Rigel. They will destroy you. We will see, President Davis said calmly. This could start a war that spreads across the galaxy, warned the representative from Vega. The war already started when they murdered our diplomats, President Davis replied. We are just going to finish it. When the meeting ended, the alien ambassadors sent messages to their home worlds. Earth was about to do something that had never been done before. A young species was going to fight one of the most powerful empires. In the galaxy, some aliens thought the humans were brave. Others thought they were stupid. All of them would be watching to see what happened next. In the command center, General Chun looked at the clock. 6 hours until we attack. Around him, his staff made final preparations. Every detail had been planned. Every possible problem had been solved. The Zephyrians had no idea what was coming for them. Send the final message to all fleet commanders, General Chun said. Operation Envoy's return begins at 0600 Universal Time. The message was sent across the galaxy. 12 human battle fleets prepared to attack 12 Zephyrian worlds at exactly the same moment. It would be the largest military operation in human history. At exactly 0600 Universal Time, the war began. 12 human battle fleets appeared at the same moment around 12 Zephyrian worlds. The aliens had never seen anything like it. On Zephyr Prime, War Commander Vextel was eating his morning meal when alarms started screaming. He ran to his command center and saw something impossible. 200 human warships surrounded his planet. How did they get so close? He shouted at his officers. We don't know, sir. They just appeared. Our sensors never saw them coming. Vextel looked at the screen. The human ships were bigger than any he had ever seen. They had weapons pointing at his cities and military bases. Send all our ships to attack them, he ordered. Sir, we only have 25 ships here. The rest of our fleet is scattered across the Empire. Vextel felt fear for the first time in his life. 25 ships against 200. Even he could do that math. Admiral Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of the Retribution. Around her, the crew worked calmly and quietly. They had trained for this moment for 6 months. Open a channel to all Zephyrian forces, she said. The communication officer pressed some buttons. Channel open, Admiral. Lisa looked at the camera. Her voice was cold and hard. This is Admiral Grant of the Earth Defense Force. You are surrounded and outnumbered. Surrender now, and you will be treated fairly. Resist, and you will be destroyed. On his command ship, Vextel laughed. Humans think they can threaten us? Attack. Show them what Zephyrian strength looks like. His 25 ships moved toward the human fleet. Lisa watched them come. She felt no emotion. These were the people who had killed her best friend. Fire the electromagnetic pulse weapons, she ordered. Bright lights flashed from the human ships. The lights hit the Zephyrian vessels, and suddenly, all their systems stopped working. The alien ships went dark and began to drift in space. What happened? Vextel screamed. His ship was dead, no lights, no weapons, no engines. All Zephyrian ships are disabled, Admiral, reported Commander Murphy. Good, now activate the frequency weapons. New sounds came from the human ships. The sounds were too low for humans to hear, but Zephyrian ears picked them up. Every alien on every ship began to scream. The sounds made their brains hurt terribly. Sir, we're getting surrender signals from all Zephyrian ships, the communication officer said. Accept their surrender. Send boarding teams to take control of their vessels. The same thing was happening on all 12 Zephyrian worlds. The electromagnetic pulse weapons destroyed their technology. The frequency weapons hurt their minds. In less than 2 hours, the entire Zephyrian space fleet was captured or destroyed. Captain Ben Harper led his soldiers down to Zephyr Prime. Their job was to capture the planetary command center and arrest War Commander Vexthal. The landing was easy because the Zephyrians had no working weapons to shoot at them. Harper's men moved through the streets of the capital city. Zephyrian civilians ran and hid. They had never seen their military lose a battle before. The command center is 2 blocks ahead, Sergeant Brown said. They could see Zephyrian soldiers trying to set up defenses, but the frequency weapons made them too sick to fight properly. Many were lying on the ground holding their heads. This is almost too easy, said Private Johnson. Don't get careless, Harper warned. They are still dangerous. They reached the command center. It was a big black building with thick walls. Zephyrian guards stood at the doors, but they could barely stand up straight because of the painful sounds. Surrender, Harper shouted in Zephyrian language. Drop your weapons. Most of the guards did what he said. A few tried to fight, but they were too sick and confused to aim properly. Harper's men stunned them with electric weapons and tied them up. Inside the building, Vexthal was trying to call for help. But all the communication systems were dead. He could hear human soldiers getting closer and closer. Protect the war commander, he ordered his remaining guards, but his guards were suffering like everyone else. The frequency weapons made it hard for them to think or move. When Harper's team reached the command center, they found Vexthal alone. The war commander was a huge alien, but he looked small and weak now. He was holding his head with all 4 hands, trying to stop the pain. War Commander Vexthal, Harper said. You are under arrest for the murder of Earth's diplomatic mission. Vexthal looked up at the human soldier. Harper was much smaller than him, but the alien felt afraid. You cannot do this, Vexthal said. I am a war commander of the Zephyrian Empire. Not anymore, Harper said. He put special handcuffs on all 4 of Vexthal's arms. You are now a prisoner of Earth. How? Vexthal asked. How did you defeat us so easily? We are the strongest warriors in the galaxy. Harper looked at the alien with disgust. You want to know how? We are better than you. We are smarter than you. And we fight for something more important than ourselves. What do you fight for? Justice. Our friend came to you in peace and you killed him. Now you pay the price. All across the Zephyrian Empire, the same scene was happening. Human soldiers captured alien leaders. Human ships took control of space stations. Human technology shut down everything the Zephyrians had built. On the world of Zephyr 7, Colonel Martinez led the attack on their biggest weapons factory. The factory made the guns and bombs that the Zephyrians used to threaten other species. Blow it up, he ordered. His men placed explosives throughout the building. When they detonated, the factory was completely destroyed. Smoke rose into the sky like a black funeral cloud. On Zephyr 3, Captain Davis captured the alien training center where young Zephyrians learned to be warriors. Instead of destroying it, she turned it into a school where they would learn about peace. The war lasted 18 hours. When it was over, the Zephyrian Empire no longer existed. Every planet was under human control. Every ship was captured or destroyed. Every leader was in prison. Admiral Grant stood in the command center of the captured Zephyrian headquarters. Around her, human technicians worked to understand alien technology. Everything was going according to plan. Admiral, we have a message from all the other fleets, Commander Murphy said. All objectives have been captured. Total Zephyrian casualties. Less than 10,000. Total human casualties. 47 wounded, none killed. Lisa nodded. They had won the most complete victory in military history, and they had done it with almost no loss of life. Bring me Vexthal, she ordered. 2 soldiers brought the former war commander into the room. He was still in handcuffs and still looked sick from the frequency weapons. Sit down, Lisa told him. Vexthal sat in a chair that was too small for him. He looked up at the human admiral with confusion and fear. Do you know who I am? Lisa asked. You are Admiral Grant, commander of the human fleet. I was also the best friend of Captain Jake Morrison, the man you tortured and killed. Vexthal's eyes grew wide. He began to understand why the humans had fought so hard. You want to know how we defeated you so easily? Lisa continued. You want to know why the mighty Zephyrian Empire fell in less than one day? Vexthel nodded. Because you made a mistake. You thought we were weak because we tried to solve problems with words instead of weapons. You thought peace made us soft. Lisa walked closer to him. You were wrong. We use words because we choose to. We try to make peace because we are strong enough to control ourselves. But when someone murders our friends, when someone hurts innocent people, we stop being nice. She pointed out the window at the human ships filling the sky. Every one of those ships was built in the last 6 months. Every weapon was designed specifically to defeat you. Every soldier was trained to fight on your worlds. We spent half a year preparing to destroy you completely. Vexthel was starting to understand. You planned all of this? Every detail. We knew exactly where your ships would be. We knew exactly how your weapons worked. We knew exactly how to hurt your people without killing them. We knew everything because we are smarter than you. But how? We are the greatest warriors in the galaxy, Lisa laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Warriors? You are not warriors, you are bullies. Warriors fight for honor. Warriors protect the weak. Warriors respect their enemies. You just hurt people because you enjoy it. She leaned down so her face was close to his. Jake Morrison was a real warrior. He came to your world to make peace. He wanted to save lives on both sides. You killed him because you thought he was weak. You were wrong about that too. Vexthel looked down at the floor. For the first time in his life, he felt shame. What will you do with us? He asked. That depends on you. If you learn to be better, if you teach your people to stop hurting others, you might earn the right to rebuild your civilization. If you don't learn, you will spend the rest of your life in prison. And if we try to fight you again? Lisa's eyes became hard as steel. Then we will finish what we started today. And next time, we will not be so gentle. The door opened and President Davis walked in. She looked at Vexthel with disgust. This is the creature that killed our people, she said. Yes, Madam President. This is War Commander Vexthel, former leader of the Zephyrian Empire. President. Davis studied the alien for a long moment. He looked smaller than I expected. Bullies always do when they can't hurt anyone, Lisa said. What is the status of all Zephyrian worlds? Under our complete control? We have captured their entire government, their entire military. 3 months had passed since the war ended. The galaxy was a different place now. Everyone knew what humans could do when they were angry. No one wanted to make them angry again. President Helen Davis stood before the Galactic Council. Representatives from 50 alien species sat in their chairs, looking at her with new respect. 3 months ago, many of them had thought humans were weak. Now they knew better. Fellow members of the Council, President Davis began, we are here today to discuss the future of galactic diplomacy. What happened to our envoy Jake Morrison must never happen again to anyone. The alien representatives listened carefully. Earth was now the strongest military power in the galaxy. When humans spoke, everyone paid attention. We proposed the Morrison Protocol, President Davis continued. Any attack on diplomatic missions will be considered an act of war against all peaceful species. Earth will guarantee the safety of all envoys with our military force. Ambassador Kethler from the Rigel system raised his hand. President Davis, what about species that cannot defend themselves? Will Earth protect them too? Yes, we will protect anyone who asks for our help. But we will only help those who truly want peace. What if a species refuses your protection? Then they are free to handle their own problems. We do not force our help on anyone. But if they hurt diplomats, they will face the consequences. The vote was unanimous. Every species in the council agreed to the Morrison Protocol. They had all seen what happened to the Zephyrians. None of them wanted the same fate. On the former Zephyrian world of Zephyr Prime, Admiral Lisa Grant walked through the capital city. The black buildings were being painted white. The weapon statues were being replaced with gardens. Everything was changing. Dr. Marcus Thompson walked beside her. He was leading the effort to help Zephyrian civilians learn about peace. It was hard work, but progress was being made. How are they doing? Lisa asked, better than expected. The young ones learn quickly. They like the idea of solving problems without fighting. The older ones are more difficult. They stopped at a school where human teachers were working with Zephyrian children. The children were learning to read and write. Before the war, only warriors had been allowed to learn these things. What about the former soldiers? Some of them are angry and refuse to change. We keep them in prison. But many others want to learn new ways. Former War Commander Vexthal has been very helpful. Lisa was surprised. Vexthal is helping you? Yes, he tells other Zephyrians that the old ways were wrong. He says humans showed him what real strength looks like. They walked to the prison where the worst Zephyrian war criminals were kept. It was not like the cruel prisons the Zephyrians had built. This prison was clean and safe. The prisoners were treated with dignity, but they could not leave. Vexthal was in a special cell. He had been the leader of the empire, so he needed special security. But his cell had books and a computer. He was learning about human history and philosophy. Admiral Grant, Vexthal said when he saw her, I have been reading about your wars. Your people fought each other for thousands of years. Yes, we were not always peaceful. But you learned to be better. You learned to solve problems without killing. How? Lisa thought about this question. It was something many humans asked themselves. We learned that fighting should be the last choice, not the first choice. We learned that the strongest people are those who can control their anger. We learned that helping others makes us stronger than hurting them. I am trying to teach this to my people, but it is difficult. For thousands of years, we believed that pain made us strong. Pain can make you strong, but only if you learn from it. If you just cause pain to others, you learn nothing. Vexthal nodded. I understand now. When you destroyed our empire, you caused us great pain. But you did it to teach us, not to make us suffer. That is why you are helping us rebuild. That's right. We want you to become better than you were. Will you ever trust us again? Lisa looked at the former war commander. He was still huge and scary, but his eyes were different now. They were sad instead of angry. Trust must be earned. If your people learn to live in peace, if they never hurt innocent people again, then maybe our children will trust your children. In another part of the galaxy, Captain Tony Rodriguez was meeting with leaders from the Vega system. They had asked Earth for help with pirates who were attacking their trade ships. We can stop the pirates, Tony told them. But we want something in return. What do you want? Asked the vegan leader. We want you to join the Morrison Protocol. We want you to promise that you will never hurt diplomats from any world. Of course we agree. We are a peaceful people. Good. Our ships will protect your trade routes. If anyone attacks you, they will answer to Earth. This was happening all over the galaxy. Weak species were asking Earth for protection. Earth said, yes, but only if they promise to be peaceful and fair. Dr. Susan Lee was still working in her laboratory, but now she was building different things. Instead of weapons to hurt people, she was making tools to help them. Medical equipment for alien hospitals. Communication devices so different species could talk to each other. Machines to clean polluted worlds. How does it feel to build helpful things instead of weapons? Her assistant asked. Much better. I hope I never have to make weapons again. But if someone threatens innocent people, I will be ready. The weapons factories on Earth were quiet now. The workers had gone back to building trade ships and exploration vessels. But everyone knew the factories could be changed back to making weapons very quickly if needed. President Davis sat in her office, reading reports from across the galaxy. Crime was down, trade was up. Several species that had been fighting each other for years had made peace. The Morrison Protocol was working. A message came in from the edge of the galaxy. A new species had been discovered. They were called the Andorians, and they seemed friendly. Earth was sending a diplomatic mission to meet them. I hope they are more reasonable than the Zephyrians. President Davis said to herself. The new diplomatic ship was very different from Jake. Morrison's Terra Nova. It was bigger and had better shields. It also carried a small military escort, just in case. Earth still preferred peace, but they were not naive anymore. Captain Sarah Miller was leading the new mission. She had studied everything that happened to Jake Morrison. She knew what mistakes to avoid. Remember, she told her team, we go in peace, but we are not helpless. If these Andorians try to hurt us, they will learn what happened to the Zephyrians. The ship left Earth and headed for Andorian space. Behind it, invisible to most sensors, followed a small fleet of warships. Earth was taking no chances with the safety of its diplomats. Back on Earth, a ceremony was being held at the Diplomatic Corps' headquarters. President Davis stood before a new wall made of black stone. On the wall were carved the names of Jake Morrison, Dr. Paul Stevens, Lieutenant Amy Burke, Sergeant Rick Johnson, and Engineer Tom Wilson. Above their names were the words, "They sought peace among the stars." We ensure their sacrifice was not in vain. Hundreds of people attended the ceremony. Admiral Grant was there, along with General Chun, Dr. Lee, and all the others who had planned the war against the Zephyrians. These 5 men died trying to make peace, President Davis said to the crowd. Their deaths could have started a cycle of hatred and revenge. Instead, we chose to use their sacrifice to make the galaxy a better place. She looked at the names on the wall. Jake Morrison believed that all problems could be solved by talking. He was wrong about that. Some people only understand force. But he was right about everything else. Peace is better than war. Understanding is better than hatred. Cooperation is better than conquest. Because of what happened to these men, diplomats everywhere are now safe. Because of their sacrifice, the galaxy is more peaceful. Because of their deaths, millions of lives have been saved. Admiral Grant stepped forward. The Zephyrian Empire thought they were teaching us a lesson when they killed our friends. They thought they were showing us that humans were weak. They were wrong. They taught us something else entirely. She paused and looked at the crowd. They taught us that some things are worth fighting for. They taught us that protecting innocent people is more important than our own safety. They taught us that real strength comes from standing up for what is right, even when it is difficult. Jake Morrison and his team are gone, but their mission continues. Every time we protect someone from bullies, we honor their memory. Every time we choose justice over revenge, we make their sacrifice meaningful. The ceremony ended with a moment of silence. Then everyone went back to their jobs. There was still work to do. The galaxy was safer than before, but there were always new problems to solve. That night, President Davis stood on the balcony of her office, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Captain Miller was meeting with the Andorians. Somewhere else, human ships were protecting trade routes. On 12 former Zephyrian worlds, human teachers were helping alien children learn about peace. "We did it, Jake," she said quietly to the stars. "We made your dream come true. The galaxy is becoming a more peaceful place." A shooting star crossed the sky. President Davis chose to believe it was Jake Morrison, telling her that he was proud of what humanity had accomplished. Earth had learned an important lesson from the war.